Let me just tell you something. Going into this game, I was a little nervous over certain aspects of our offense, how everything was going to look. As a whole, what this team was going to look like. Were they going to get better? And guys, they got a lot better.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's enjoying their Tuesday morning. Sorry, I get my days mixed up here. But to talk about the Eagles versus Buccaneers, the Eagles win 25-11. 25-11 odd numbers. This is the first time in NFL history where the score has been 25-11 ever. Which I didn't even know that until we did the stream later the other night, and thought that was pretty cool. The Eagles fans were rolling in Tampa. I mean, 60 to 65% of that stadium was all Eagles fans. The Eagles are moving together. The fans know how to travel, and it sounded like a home game. it really did, and it's really nice to see how everybody travels, and it's an awesome thing to see. To go into this game here, okay, and I'm gonna be going all over the place because I feel like going into this game, you were already out. I think Mario Goodrich was taken out of the lineup. We knew that Bradbury was going to play on the inside, and it really didn't last for long. I know Jalen Hurts was dealing with the flu, or he was sick before this game, which I found out, I think, within the stream. I think in the second quarter, I found out from everybody else that a report came out that he wasn't really feeling too well before this game. But I got to say, the things that I was kind of worried about, and like I said, I think this is the most complete game the Eagles have played. There are some things that we have to clean up here, but I thought we played very, very well. I think the second half offensively, we played very well. I thought we got the pass going immediately in the beginning. Even with, some passes to, a couple passes to A.J. Brown, getting the tight ends involved a little bit, getting the run game with DeAndre Swift involved here. Now, DeAndre Swift, okay, I don't know how. I know the Lions do their thing, and they just didn't want him anymore. They wanted a new player. I get it, but how did the Lions give up DeAndre Swift for absolutely nothing to us, okay? DeAndre Swift had 16 carries for 130 yards, okay? 8.1 yards a carry, okay? Going into his second start with the Eagles, okay? I know he started the first game, but he only had one rushing attempt. They barely used him. I think Gainwell had 15 carries for like 50-something yards, okay? With the Buccaneers, I think we've lost against the Buccaneers the past four times. We lost twice against them in 21 and obviously two other times. This was a revenge game for Jalen Hurts in a lot of ways. Todd Bowles from that 21 wild card game said he couldn't read defenses when he was caught mic'd up in a moment there, and Jalen Hurts really showed out. But the run game, number one rushing offense. Holy shit, guys. I mean, DeAndre Swift is second in rushing behind Christian McCaffrey with 308 yards for the season right now. When you're the number one rushing offense, you're doing some good things. And, I understand you have to have this rotation with DeAndre Swift. I totally understand that 100%. And a lot of people just want to run DeAndre Swift the whole entire game, okay? I totally get it, but they're not going to do that. I mean, there were some questions even in the second quarter where we were kind of running with him. Or there was a few series where they didn't even use Swift. They put Gainwell in. It kind of confused me a little bit on why they, kind of sat him down. I mean, I know these guys need rest, but he could have had more snaps. The 4th and 2 in the first half that they had that didn't result in any points. They just ran. I mean, Swift is running the ball. They're passing the ball a few times, and then they put Gainwell in. Like, they're putting Gainwell in, a fresh back in, when DeAndre Swift is on a roll, and Gainwell doesn't even get close. And he was a couple yards shy of the first down. Obviously, he needed 2 yards and couldn't get there. I felt like if you kept DeAndre Swift at that moment, they've got to use these running backs at certain moments. Rashad Penny didn't do much of anything, didn't have one snap. I wonder what they're doing with him, how they're utilizing him. Why is he even here at this point, and why do we even have 4 running backs? Since Boston Scott was out with the concussion, Quez Watkins was out with the right hamstring today. I don't know why you don't use Swift in certain moments, or use Rashad Penny in certain moments when it comes down to it, you know? So I feel like there were some moments where it kind of confused me in a few ways. But you know, DeAndre Swift is literally a running back one. We haven't had a running back like this since literally LaShawn McCoy, at least a year. This reminds me of 2013, at least offensively for the running back position, where you have just one bona fide back, and those holes were open for Swift. Swift has this explosiveness through the hole. If you get this running back to the second level, it's almost over. Okay, you can't catch him. Okay, um, I'm just so overly excited about the run game. I didn't, you know, as soon as we got Swift, I'm like, if they start using him and he's healthy, this guy can get 1,000 yards this year. And I think he can, to be honest with you. I know when people see Gainwell in the game, I know in the second half there was a lot of Kenneth Gainwell, and I get it. I totally understand it. People, it makes every other running back look slow. After watching DeAndre Swift play, it makes everybody look slow. But you have, in my opinion, the number one offensive line in the league right now. I think Cam Jurgens played really well. Protection today was fantastic from the offensive line. Okay, there was no issue with it at all. Cam Jurgens probably played his best game. I know he was kind of struggling the past couple weeks, but there's some of these guys that really need to knock the rust off. There's a lot of guys that have to knock the rust off. You're coming into a season with two brand new coordinators, still trying to figure it out. Not enough time in the offseason. The joint practices probably didn't do much to anything. A lot of these older veteran guys haven't played since last year in the Super Bowl, and I don't know how much they put into the joint practices, but you know, I definitely see a lot more players are starting to gel a lot more. This offensive line is looking better. I know that Landon Dickerson got out of the game today with I thought it was his shoulder. Then it would said it was a knee contusion. So he was walking through the tunnel fine. So he has a knee bruise. So I'm not really worried about him too much. But I think the rotation of backs is really important. I know everybody wants DeAndre Swift to get every single carry, but we need to relax. We need to calm down. Like, you got to keep these guys in rotation. You want these guys to play in the playoffs. You want these guys to play well into December, the playoffs and get to the big game this year. You got to keep these guys healthy, because obviously if you lose Swift, that would be a huge blow to this offense. But 130 yards for DeAndre Swift in his second game in Philadelphia. I mean, he had a good offensive line last year for the Lions, but damn, like, this is, and plus he's never been with a mobile quarterback, which can totally trick teams on those read options and what they're in, and what Hurts, either Hurts is going to keep it for himself or he's going to give it to DeAndre Swift. And I think it's been one of the biggest, benefactors of big factors of this team going forward. And I think the run game is great, and then Gainwell came into, the second half and he did fine. He was getting, we really had a lot of positive rushes today. I think they had over 200 yards rushing, 500 yards of offense, which is absolutely insane. We talk about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was 23 for 37, 277 yards and a touchdown, 2 picks. So he had a rushing touchdown today. The 2 picks for Hurts, I can't really blame him at all. I know a lot of people are going to nitpick at it and say, oh, he's got 4 turnovers in 2 games. People are going to, make, in 3 games or whatever it is, people are going to make a big deal out of it already. The one that he threw to DeAndre Swift that was just like literally he threw it to Devin White in open space all by himself. I can't put that on Hurts. It was probably DeAndre Swift and, just where he was supposed to run the route or something. There was definitely miscommunication, so they fixed that. So I don't put that towards Jalen. You got Devin White there and you got Swift right there. There was nobody else around. It was just them two in one wide open spot with a lot of field around. There was nobody else around. So threw an easy pick, and, that kind of sucked. It kind of, completely ruined that drive. So I can't put too much into that, but DeAndre Swift, definitely made up for it. Jalen Hurts definitely made up for it. I don't think that's anybody's fault. His second pick came, I think it was right when he threw the ball to the right side all the way down to the goal line to Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, you throw a contested catch to your receiver to take a shot downfield, okay? When you take a shot a contested catch, that you know that your wide receiver has to fight for the ball. Sometimes that's just what happens. I think one of the Tampa players made a really good play on that, and that's all. When you take shots downfield, the Vikings game, you take a shot, it was underthrown to Devontae Smith. It could have been picked off. Devontae Smith grabbed it and got the completion. Like, it's just giving your receiver a chance and to go up and get it. And sometimes it can get picked off. It just happens. It's that's why you're just throwing it up to your receiver. So those two picks, I don't really take too much out of it. I think the first one was definitely just a misread, and I think both of them just were on the same page between Hurts and DeAndre Swift, and then the one that Devontae Smith wasn't a big deal. I think the way I could say, I think the one to I think getting A.J. Brown involved was great. I know A.J. Brown had nine catches for 131 yards, but he dropped 2 touchdowns, guys, at the end of the day. He dropped 2. I know a lot of people are saying, well, he cried for the ball, so now he dropped 2 touchdowns. So that's what happened. I mean, I think one of them was going to have a good game. I said going into this game that A.J. Brown was going to have a big one, because I think Devontae Smith, I know he had a PI call today. I don't know how many yards Devontae Smith got, but I don't know how many catches he actually had. Not that many. Devontae Smith was dealing with he had a compression, sleeve on his right leg. I know he's been dealing with the thigh ankle injury. So not going to put too much into it, so A.J. Brown was really going to have to step up. But another player that stepped up finally, on top of getting Dallas Goedert and Jack Stahl involved a little bit, so I feel like the tight ends were getting them involved a little bit more, which is good. I felt like they were working middle of the field a lot. I felt like the defense for the Bucs, they were moving guys back. They didn't want to give up the big play, kind of like what the Vikings did. But the difference is, in this game, they were working middle of the field, and Jalen Hurts was gunslinging it. And on a crucial, I think it was like 3rd and 14, I forgot what it was, the one pass to Alamadi Zaccheaus on the left sideline, just sitting there wide open, was great. I know the other one, which was a touchdown to Alamadi Zaccheaus, gets his first touchdown when Quez Watkins is out with that right hamstring injury, gets a touchdown. And this was almost a sack. The protection was like 5-6 seconds, literally. And Jalen Hurts didn't bail. He didn't go to the left. He didn't rush to the right. He stayed in the pocket and was very, very patient. Threw that ball and got the touchdown. And he threw it at a time where nobody was open. He threw it while nobody was open in that area. Alameda wasn't even open yet, but he said, you know what? Let me throw it out in front and see if he'll see where this is going. Seeing that, Alameda was seeing that Jalen Hurts was looking his way, through that ball, and it was almost touched by the defender. The defender jumped up, and Alameda Zaccheaus took that in for the touchdown. So I'm glad. And the one thing I can say about Alameda Zaccheaus, I think he's done a lot of the dirty work here. I saw some of his blocks, and he's been blocking very, very well. Thought it was fantastic. So I'm glad we're just getting him involved, because I don't know what to think of Quez Watkins. Like, if Quez Watkins comes back, are they going to use him? Are they, that's going to be the big question going forward. And I think Alameda has earned his starting reps, I think, just from this game. And Quez might have to earn them back. I don't know. But Zaccheaus was a good player last year. I'm glad they signed him. He was a good player for the Falcons. He had over 500 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a really good year as a pure slot guy, and he's obviously on a lot better roster with the Philadelphia Eagles this year. And, this is what, if Quez goes down, there you go. You have another guy that walks right into that role and has no problem. I'm so glad that our wide receiver 3 in Alameda Zaccheaus was involved in this game tremendously on 2 catches, which was an awesome thing. And like I said, the tight ends were, they were getting in. Dallas Goedert had a couple catches. Jack Stahl, I think, had one drop, or I think it led to a deflection, and then another one to him later on in the game, which I thought he did really well. And like I said, Jalen Hurts was I think there's stuff to work on with this offense. I think when it comes to, I think time management in red zone, time management was good at the end of the game. They wasted like 9.5 minutes to put the game away. The red zone we got to do better in the red zone. It's not good. You have running backs back there. It's up to me right now to say what they should do in the red zone. Run with DeAndre Swift, run with Rashad Penny, get some extra yards. Like, they have the weapons to work this red zone really well. They did the fake tush push, which they were getting cute with a lot of stupid plays I just couldn't stand. Switching out running backs on 4th and 2 when you have a hot hand running back in there right now, and you put Gainwell in and get no yards, and it's a turn, the ball's turned over, and you waste putting points up on the board. but the red zone has got to get better. Run down their damn throats, man. Like, I don't get why they're just not doing it. It just makes no sense why Hurts has got to throw the ball or do a little fade toss-up, on the 1 yard line, the 2 yard line, whatever, 3 yard line, whatever wherever they are inside the 5 or the 5 or inside that. I mean, they just run the ball, man. The number 1 rushing offense after tonight, but run the damn ball. This is what the Eagles are good at. They used the tush push plenty of times today. The one for the touchdown was a good one. And I mean, they had the restart. Jalen Hurts didn't get it the first time, and then they got it the second time. So I thought, I think Hurts is fine. I wonder if they're kind of disabling Jalen Hurts, his running attack. I think he only had like 1 QB run tonight, so he didn't really run on his own that much. No QB design runs on 3rd and long, and they're just taking that cop-out route. They had some forward screens, a forward screen to DeAndre Swift where you're not just throwing it to the side, you're throwing it kind of forward a little bit diagonally, which I really like that a lot. The tight end screen sucks. They keep doing it. They did it once, and I was like, oh, my God, stop doing the tight end screen. Dallas Goedert, by the time he gets the ball, he can't even make a move at that point. So I thought as collectively for the offense, I thought they played really well. Like I said, I think red zone needs to be fixed up a little bit. I think they need to get the running backs involved in the passing game. Just imagine, look what you're getting out of DeAndre Swift right now. Just if you don't even want to put Zacchaeus in the game or a wide receiver 3, you could put DeAndre Swift as a wide receiver and have him just be a mismatch. And I feel like the Eagles, we haven't reached the ceiling with DeAndre Swift in the passing game with these running backs. We've been kind of flirting with it the past few weeks, and it hasn't really worked. So maybe later on, we will get better with that. But you have a great backfield with a good quarterback right now. He threw, obviously two picks today, which I can't blame too much. But offensively as a whole, just going to say it, Brian Johnson played it, called his best game today. There's things to fix, but I think was it a complete game? Perfect. No, it wasn't, but it was so much better than what I expected going into this game. And that's a good sign. It's a good sign going down the line of the season. And the Eagles are 3-0 because of it, which is great. Now, defensively, Jesus, man. I mean, we have a star in the making, guys, with Jalen Carter, with Jordan Davis, with Fletcher Cox. I remember even with Fletcher Cox, and Fletcher Cox is playing great, by the way, okay? I think Jalen Carter had like a sack, and I think he had like a sack and a half sack, something like that today, and a forced fumble. Okay, after the Eagles put pressure on Baker, okay? They sacked Baker, and then Baker threw to the running back, and Carter came back with a crazy punch to punch the ball out, which I was like, holy shit, dude. That was just insane. You hear the punch, and then when the running back is starting to get up off the ground, he pushes him back on the ground again. Like Jalen Carter is violent, man. He is real violent. I'm not even kidding. He is just something else. I mean, going into this game, he had like 10 he was like 3rd in pressures. I'm not even kidding. He's like 10 pressures, I mean, it's just 11 pressures, 10 hurries. I mean, it's ridiculous numbers of what you're getting with this defensive line. Jordan Davis is just to even taking on double teams is ridiculous. Even after the Devontae Smith, after the pick to Devontae Smith on the goal line, okay, the ball's going the other way. The Eagles get a safety, okay. What helps Nicholas Morrow get through that line and get that safety? Most of it was Jalen Carter taking on that double team, and Jalen Carter wasn't moved an inch. Jalen Carter had literally almost both his hands through both of those guys, and he was just standing his ground, couldn't get pushed apart, which really makes that nice fit for the linebackers. I thought Zach Cunningham had a great game, by the way. Nicholas Morrow, had the safety, and I thought Nicholas Morrow had a good game too. The linebackers did fine. I really had no issues with the linebackers at all, but even after that safety, I was like, damn, that is awesome. Now, I mean, so we converted points off an interception, which is kind of sounds weird, but these things do happen. I was actually surprised the Bucs didn't really try to do somewhat of a pass, or I don't know. I'm surprised they actually ran up the middle. So the middle, no teams can run up on us. nobody can run up the middle on us. You're better off going around the edge because up the middle, Jordan Davis making the tackles that he made today. I mean, he gets his hands on somebody, they're not moving. I mean, that's what I saw. I saw meat hooks onto human being goes down. That's what I saw in this game from both of them. And I think Fletcher Cox is benefiting so much, so they're starting to double team on Jordan Davis. Fletcher Cox has the one. You know what's that's just insane. I mean, sorry, Jalen Carter. Sorry, they doubled Jalen Carter. Fletcher Cox got in there and got the pressure, okay? The funny thing about that whole thing is that Jalen Carter got double-teamed and still made it to the quarterback first before Fletcher Cox did. Fletcher Cox is playing like he's 26, 27 years old right now. I'm not kidding. Fletcher's having a big year this year. I like the secondary was an interesting one going to this game. There's no Avonte Maddox. So what did they do? They took Mario Goodrich. They took him off the active roster. They put him back on the practice squad. They brought up Eli Ricks for the game, which he played special teams mostly. And they tried Bradbury inside. You have to mess with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Mike Evans only had 12 yards in the first half. Then for one series where the defense was literally playing, in the second half where the defense literally gave up a free touchdown pretty much. And they were obviously not. They were just they were being conservative on purpose. They just wanted the underneath stuff. They just wanted to have the Bucs waste as much time as possible because at that time we were still up over 14 points. Yeah, I mean, the secondary was interesting. Bradbury started on the inside. He didn't really play that well. Then I think they put him back on the outside. Then then they took Job out. Then they put Sidney Brown in the nickel. I don't know if he was playing nickel and safety or they were switching him around. No, I know Justin Evans ended up getting hurt later on in this game, so I think maybe he did double time. He was moving back and forth all over the place. Sidney Brown needs more playing time. I'm sorry, but he does. He almost gave up a potential touchdown, but I mean, really not on him. Mike Evans was wide open. Baker Mayfield threw it, and right before he got there, I swear Sidney Brown ran from one side of the field to the other, and he got one little hand in there to deflect the ball, and he played amazing. Sidney Brown could take over a game. Sidney Brown could take over an area so quickly. I just thought the guy needs more playing time. The guy played nickel in college. He played 177 snaps at Illinois. There's no reason why he shouldn't have an opportunity here. We needed a hybrid player that could play multiple positions. I think Sidney Brown is perfect for that role. Could play safety and could play cornerback or nickel. Nickel's one of the hardest positions, especially with Zach McPherson being out and Mario Goodrich wasn't playing, and they decided, let's start and Bradbury's not an inside guy. They gave it a shot. It didn't really last too long at all. So that happened. Reed Blankenship had a pick today. He had 7 tackles and 2 deflections. I mean, he had one missed open, I think an open tackle. I think he missed 1 tackle today. I'm not going to bite him for that one, but man, this defense definitely misses a heartbeat when Reed Blankenship is not in the lineup. That is 100% true. We missed 3 starters last week. It was tough. We had some missed assignments last week, at least one for a touchdown, a couple of them for touchdowns on the Addison touchdown, and another one with Osborne on the left side of the end zone, wide open, no one even near him. But having Reed Blankenship back, my God, man. I mean, got that pick, getting pressure on Baker Mayfield the whole day. Was great. I think, Reed is just, man, Reed is the future of this safety group. There's no doubt about it. I'm glad that Nolan Smith got some snaps at defensive end. He had that one hit on Baker. He got a couple pressures too. And Reddick had, I think, a pressure or two as well. Had his hand on the quarterback at one point. Couldn't get it down. Reddick is very streaky when it comes to, sometimes in 1 month he'll have no sacks. Then in another month he'll have 5 or 6. I think his time is coming. I don't know if the thumb ligament from the surgery is affecting him at this point. I'm not really sure if it's in that direction of it's close to maybe his injury is affecting him or the surgery he had. I have no idea. But I think overall defensively, they were hitting Baker Mayfield. They were hitting him. They were hitting him over and over. They were getting him. They were pressuring him. He escaped a couple times here and there, but his pass accuracy was definitely affected by this pass rush. He wanted to get the ball out quickly. Really, the only successful drive that Baker Mayfield had was the one to Mike Evans. Like, Mike Evans was not involved in the first half, barely, with only 12 yards. Then that one series where the Eagles were playing conservative on purpose. And they just let them drive the ball all the way down, pretty much. Wasted good amount of time. It wasted a good amount of time. So, I thought the Eagles, like I said, defensively, I think this was Sean Desai's best called game. He blitzed. They looked violent. They looked physical. They looked up to task, man. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. I mean, my God, like the trenches are just crazy. The only problem that I am having right now, okay, which is what the Bucs were doing towards us, is the soft zone coverage. They're playing way too much zone. I mean, it's 3rd and short, and you have these guys still 6-7 yards off the line. I passed the first down marker. Like, I understand if there's a Tyreek Hill on the field or something like that, and you don't want to risk it. I get it. But you're talking about Mike Evans isn't like... He's good and he's fast, but he isn't a deep threat. He's not deep threat capability. He's not Deshaun Jackson. He's not, you know what I mean? So as long as they get their hands on you, like I said, I feel like the Eagles can get so many more sacks. I don't even care about the sack. It's all about the hurries. It's all about the pressures. The pressures is what makes everything successful. If you get a pressure and the quarterback moves, or you make the quarterback go inside the pocket, or go, it makes someone else successful on the defensive line. It has somebody else make a play because of your pressure on somebody. You know what I mean? That's what the D-line's all about at the end of the day. So I think Desai called his perfect game. I think this was great. They had to move the secondary around. So I think, as you move the secondary around more and more and more, Josh Jobe was really struggling on the outside. I think the defense was getting tired at some points because then they took Swift out. They were getting a little pass heavy at some points in the second half. Like they were getting the end of the first half, I thought offensively that first drive in the second half by the offense was the most perfect series of the whole season. That was like a couple passes to A.J. Brown, Devontae. They got everybody involved. The run game, it was perfect. It was great. They got to the red zone. They struggled a little bit, but they still got it in. So I thought that was the most perfect drive they had throughout every game we've played. And this offense definitely did well. But like I said, there's still some things we need to work on here, offensively, defensively. Fix some of these little mistakes that you're having, and I think you'll be good. And then we go to special teams, where, holy shit, dude. I don't know. This is one game, but I got to say, I have to give respect where respect's due, and that's Britton Covey, okay? Britton Covey had like a 74, I forgot what it was, a 50, 60-something yard return. I forgot what it was, but he had that one big return. The thing is with Covey, when he's not running into people and he's not looking for people to hit, when he finds that open space, those little crevice of space he could find, and just that extra shift of speed that he can get to, the one on the right sideline going all the way upfield was fantastic. I thought the blocking for punt returns were great. I thought they were amazing. I saw every time we got a punt return and Covey was back there was so much room. That means that guys are doing their jobs. That means that the blocking scheme for punt return is working, and giving your punt returner more room and more space, and giving him time, instead of contemplating on where he's going as soon as he gets the ball in his hands last minute before someone's about to hit him, makes a huge difference. There was one where he took one out from the 2-yard line and still made it to the 30. He still got like 15 yards a return, which is still great. So can't wait to see more. I wanted him off the team last week, but he's obviously not going anywhere because he was brought up to the active roster last week, or this past week, for the Week 3 game against the Buccaneers Monday night. So he will be the punt returner for the rest of the year. And, we'll see. Hopefully we see more of those. Hopefully we see a punt return touchdown for the first time in his career. I saw they put Devin Allen on kick returns. I think they only did that because Boston Scott wasn't playing today. So we know Boston Scott is the starting kick returner. So I'm glad that Devin Allen is at least on their minds to get dressed for a game that, they played him a little bit. He had one return for like 10 yards, or not even that. It wasn't even that much, but got to keep it going. I can't define a player off of one kick return. It's just impossible to do that. I know Tupelutu on the defensive line had a sack today. So overall, the Eagles are 3-0. Okay. You are the number one rushing offense. Okay. I read all this stuff and I'm just like, because statistics are just like, wow, this is just insane. The number one rushing offense. You've gotten pretty much everybody involved in this game. Devontae Smith didn't get involved in this game too much, but I thought the tight ends got involved. Your wide receiver 3, I think they need to figure out who to use running back wise on specific plays when it comes to third and short. I know you don't want to make it obvious for teams. Okay, that running back's in. They're going to be doing this play. They don't want to make it obvious. But when it comes to third and short, the last person I want to use is Gainwell. I'm using Rashad Penny, or I'm going to keep Swift in the game, or the hot hand that Nick Sirianni says. Okay. You know what I mean? So, you don't want to tire out your defense by going three and out, getting cute, getting, too pass happy, and it's just way too much. You got to run the football. That's our bread and butter right now, is running the football and let the pass figure itself out at times. So I thought it was a great game. I felt really comfortable by the end of it. The Eagles wasted like 9.5 minutes. They were up by 14. They wasted 9.5 minutes. And they just wasted out the whole entire clock. They had the first down with A.J. Brown, and that was pretty much it. They just wasted it all. So, like I said, this is the most complete game I've seen from this team. We got some reinforcements back when it came to injury, but now there's things to think about when it comes to the secondary, okay? Now there's things to come when it comes to the secondary, moving guys around. Sidney Brown is the number one guy on my mind right now when it comes to moving around the field and being the hybrid player that I think he can be. So, and I think Hurts made some mistakes today, but I don't blame the 2 picks on him. A guy made a play in front of Devontae Smith. It happens. And the one to DeAndre Swift was just miscommunication. So I'm not putting that too much on him. So, 3-0 sounds really good. You're going into next week for your first divisional game against Washington, which is going to be a dogfight where the records will not matter. This is going to be a fight next week, and the first 1:00 game of the season, finally an early game, so, but definitely enjoy this for the next couple days before we start rolling into, to talk about Washington. And, like I said, decide blitz, did some good things, but the soft zone stuff it's kind of too much. You got big physical corners that can give physical receiver. I thought the matchups with Slay and Evans and Bradbury and Godwin were perfect matches because they can take on those bigger receivers. I think they do a good job. You're not going to win every matchup all the time, but that you got to generate this pass rush. What this pass rush could do, and it's getting better every single week. It's getting better. I mean, your 2 first-round picks in the middle are just killing it right now, and I'm just very excited for the future of this team. Just imagine what Jalen Carter's going to do, 2 or 3 years under his belt when he learns more, and just imagine that. Just imagine when DeAndre Swift can be more utilized. Imagine if they start using Rashad Penny, more utilization with him. And Boston Scott didn't play, and he still didn't get any reps. But offensively, a couple mistakes. Red zone's got to be fixed, okay? Because red zone didn't look great. You got to run the ball down their throats. I'm telling you, run the ball, you win the game. And that's it. So let me know what you guys think of the game in general. How did it feel to be 3-0? What did you like about this game? What did you not like about this game? We'll definitely talk about a lot this week going into it. So you guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy your day at work. And I will see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follow, peace out, guys. Peace.